My behaviour around sugar was absolutely that of a sugar addict. I felt completely out of control. All it took was a little taste of it and then I couldn't stop. I would feel physically unwell and that wasn't enough. I would swear to myself that I wasn't going to touch the stuff and then play this sort of mental mind gymnastics and come up with these excuses to have it, and then I'd end up out of control again. So even my thinking seemed to be like that of an addict. I couldn't trust my own mind. I couldn't trust my own behavior. I tried detox programs. I tried Overeaters Anonymous. I was obsessed with trying to be paleo, but my eating was never worse. I never felt more out of control than when I was trying my absolute hardest to stop eating sugar altogether, but I couldn't moderate it. So it felt like the only answer that made any sense was to give it up. Now you might be 100% convinced that you're addicted to sugar, and I'm not here to tell you that you are thinking about this wrong. I just want to offer an alternative narrative based on my own experience and the work I now do with my clients of why this idea that you're addicted to sugar, so the answer is complete abstinence from sugar, why this might not be serving you and what else could actually be going on. I'm not here trying to convert you to my way of thinking, but I do ask that you watch the whole video and just consider whether this resonates or applies to you in any way. You are allowed to get to the end of the video and go, well, that was a load of crap, and I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments below. So I want to share some insights with you in this video from my own experience and the work that I do now. So the first insight that I had, which was a personal one, was I realized how I couldn't eat sugar, I couldn't binge on sugar and be mindful or be present. It just wasn't possible. I had to have a screen, whether it was my phone, TV, laptop, doesn't matter, but I had to lose my mind in something in order to be able to consume sugar in the quantity that I was consuming it. The only exception to this was probably when I was driving, but I would have been listening to a podcast or an audiobook and then I might binge on sugar while I was driving. But here's what I realized. There was something about that state of screen and the taste of sugar which felt very numbing, soothing. It was an opportunity to kind of check out. And at the time when this was the most intense for me, I was full of shame. I was full of guilt, disappointed in myself. I didn't feel like I was the person that I was supposed to be. And so I didn't want to be me. And so therefore sugar and screens became a way to just escape. And that is something that's quite common that we see in addiction. People can develop addictions in order to escape. And so if I were to say I was addicted to anything now, from my perspective today, I would say that it was this combination, that feeling, that place I could go to when I checked out with television and a whole load of food. So one of the things I did do during my recovery, which believe me was not as easy as it might sound, was that for a whole 2 months, I did not eat any binge foods with a screen or while distracting myself. So I could have whatever I wanted, but the only rule was I had to sit at the table and do my utmost to enjoy it. And believe me, there were times when that felt excruciating. That was like a detox in and of itself. Because I know some people have heard me talk about this before and have then tried it and become disappointed or disillusioned because they weren't able to do it. It is like a withdrawal because there was something about that state that was so compelling and so compulsive for me just because of how I was feeling about myself and my life at that time. And the second insight is because I was always trying to give up sugar, I was always trying to stop eating sugar, that every time I had it, it felt like the last time. So I was stuck in this cycle of Last Supper eating. So when I had sugar and I was like, I've blown it now, the what the hell effect kicked in. And then I would just eat as much of it as I could. I almost wanted to make myself so ill that I never wanted to eat sugar again. I mean, it didn't work, obviously. But in the moment, this was the kind of mindset. This is the last time. So even though this is physically, mentally, and emotionally hurting, it's because the scarcity part of my brain was being activated. So whilst I wasn't necessarily restricting the amount of calories I was eating, my brain perceived, no sugar, as a sense of deprivation and reacted accordingly. And the third insight, and this one was crucial as well, was because I realized that I was only eating these sugary foods when I had a strong craving or urge for them. Okay, why does that matter? Because when there was a build-up of a craving or a build-up of an urge, when I then had the food, there was relief and release from that tension, that build-up. So now those foods were becoming associated with that feeling of tension relief. And because sugar and my eating had become such an emotional thing for me as well, all my emotions are tied up in this as well. And now there's this cycle that's being reinforced and the brain's going, when I eat sugar, that releases this tension. So part of learning how to have a moderate relationship with sugar did involve having sugary foods when I didn't actually feel like them, when I felt like I could take it or leave it, which felt counterintuitive as somebody who felt like they were eating way too much. It didn't seem logical to eat these foods when I wasn't that fussed, because why would I? Because I'm only going to be out of control with them very soon. But being able to break that association of these kinds of foods with the release of the tension of wanting these foods so much was crucial to kind of emotionally neutralize it. So finding other ways to release tension was also a key part of it. It sounds like such a cliche, but I did take up yoga and I did start doing meditation. And that's not to say when a craving hit, now I can start doing yoga. But there's something about releasing tension outside of the food cravings that can help the food cravings reduce. Now, if someone says to me, I needed to give up sugar and I did it and it's worked for me and I just feel so much better, great. I just want people to feel free and to find something that works for them. This video is for those of you who have tried 100, 200, 300, maybe thousands of times to try and get a handle on this, and that the whole methodology that you're trying to use is just, I have to stop eating this. I have to stop eating this. If you've been doing the same thing over and over again for years and it hasn't worked, it's like, is it possible to consider there could be another way out? I would have sworn blind to you that I would never have been able to moderate my sugar intake. I would have watched this video with complete irritation and been like, well, when I did paleo and I was on it for 3 weeks, my sugar cravings went away, so I should be able to eat like that forever. That was the kind of thinking that I had. But then I started asking the question, well, what if I can't? What if I can't stick to something that means I cut this food out forever? What are my other options? Again, if you'd asked me this at the wrong time, I would have been so in my black and white thinking, I would have thought, well, then everything is hopeless forever. I'm not saying that changing your relationship with food happens overnight. And if you're still kind of on the fence about, should I be cutting certain foods out? Should I not? One of my favorite podcast episodes that I've ever recorded is the one that Steph and I did about cutting foods out. And I highly recommend checking that one out because we really get into the psychology, what it does to our psychology when we start saying, right, I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to cut that out. And as I say, come to whatever conclusion you want. I'm not here to go to battle with anyone. I'm just here to offer something which I know really helped me and I believe will help a lot of others too. And if you would like some support with this, this is what I do. You can check out my website and see what I'm offering at the moment. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you for watching and I will see you on the next video.